is a degree in Jamaica still worth it? So basically, I think yesterday I was having a conversation with somebody and I was asking them if they think that getting a bachelor's degree in Jamaica is still worth it. That was basically the question, right? And then I don't even remember exactly what the person was saying, but me did reply saying that X, Y, and Z. But basically, that's the topic for today. So, is a degree in Jamaica still worth it? Specifically, the bachelor's degree, right? So, nowadays, you see people in Jamaica, many students graduating with their degrees, and then they face the problem of not getting a job. Let's just say that. Let's just say they find it difficult to get a job when they graduate. So oftentimes people end up in fields that they probably not even go to school for just because they need a job, right? So that's basically what we're focusing on. So somebody go to school, graduate, let's just say they study I don't know, maybe a science, maybe chemistry or something like that, and they graduate and then they must say, okay, them have the bachelor's degree, and then when them go out into the world, they might hear say the fields like maybe a chemistry lab technician or whatever technologist, whatever the case may be, especially in Jamaica, is very limited. So the job that them did want, and them realize, oh, my bachelor's degree cannot get me this particular job, right? So that's one issue that we can see in Jamaica, because at the end of the day, Jamaica is an island, approximately 2.8 million people, and you have how many people graduating from university every single year, and everybody knows, we all know that not every single one is going to get a job. Some people go on to do their master's degree, or some people migrate, different things. But let's just talk, for example, the person who would stay in Jamaica after they graduate. Let's just say that they graduate and then they're trying to get a job and they realize, oh, the job want this much experience, 2 or 3 years experience, they want a master's degree, and then this person is going to come to the realization that, oh, I have a degree, but it seems like the degree that I have is still not enough, right? And that is kind of why most people, they go on to do their master's degree. But going into it, I feel like a lot of people are, or they were unaware that basically what jobs would be available at the end of a bachelor's degree. So somebody go to school, come out, let's just say they had student loans as well. You know that student loan give you like 1 year to pay back, to start repayments, right? So imagine that 1 year go by and then you say to yourself, say, oh, I'm gonna pay back student loan and all that stuff and blah blah blah, right? So that's basically one point that I'm going to make, that the job market in Jamaica is, I would say, difficult, especially for some career fields, right? So for example, teaching, nursing, doctors, they kind of find it more easier to get a job when they graduate, because those are, I would say, more in demand, or more what's the word I might look for right now? Not, yes, in demand, but also necessary, like really necessary. So yeah, so they have to keep on take on more people. So those jobs are kind of a little bit more secure. Them need teacher might grade, nurse might grade, doctors, them always need more doctors, so them not gonna reject that, right? So those are kind of a little bit more stable. And then you have those who probably go and study business, something business related. Then you have people who study something more like, I would say, like social work or sociology, psychology, things like that. So that's another category. Then you have the STEM people, which is another category. Then you have those that probably do, like, honestly, anything in the healthcare field, nursing, radiography, or whatever. Those careers are a lot more secured, like them kind of more put down. So when the person graduate, them can say, okay, like they know that within a year time they can find a job because the career field is in demand, right? So healthcare system in Jamaica is not really compromised on, if that makes sense. So if they are qualified people, they're going to take them. Let me just say that. So for example, if 100 students graduate, with probably a nursing degree or something like, yeah, let's say 100 students graduate with their nursing degree, I don't see why at least 70 of them won't get a job. I don't see why. So point is that they have a higher rate or a higher chance of getting a job than the regular person who studied probably something else. And then also something else that I kind of realize is with business. So Jamaica is a business country, right? That's something I've come to realize. So you see HR, anything business related, management, anything like that, office administration, all those stuff. Jamaica is a business country, right? And I feel like even though people don't really talk about it, the business sector in like corporate, they always talk about corporate, is very much dominated in Jamaica. So somebody who probably go study STEM, let's just say they did not study medicine, nursing, or anything like that, but they studied STEM, anything science or engineering or whatever, I feel like those careers are more limited, like they have less jobs available in those fields, although it is kind of in demand, if that makes sense. But business, if you go on any job search website right now, just job search Jamaica or anything, the positions that they're always going to have is for business, for HR, for something like that, right? Because corporate is a thing in Jamaica, right? So back to the question, is getting a degree in Jamaica so worth it, specifically a bachelor's degree, knowing that you're going to need more experience in some cases, in some careers, you're going to need more experience before you can even get the job. And then the next thing is that they might also want at least a master's degree before you get hired. Now, if a person's intention is not to stay in Jamaica, then it kind of make no sense. That's just my opinion on it. But if your goal is to stay in Jamaica, build Jamaica, grow Jamaica, contribute to Jamaica physically, then it makes sense to, you know, study in your country, stay in your country and all of that stuff. But if your plan is to migrate, then maybe not so much, because obviously you know that they have the teaching and nursing program that are very popular in Jamaica. Everybody want to go on teaching and nursing program. They have, yeah, right? And even as it relates to migration, you have those who do farm work, you have those who do the H2B, which is like culinary, cooks, housekeeping, all that stuff. They do the H2B, which I think is at least 6 months they go on it, and most of them just renew it and go to another workplace and just work and maneuver the place basically. So there are different, I would say, different programs that people can do, or they have different options. So the question is getting a degree in Jamaica so worth it? And my answer is going to be depends on the person, depends on their goals, their life goals, depends on what they want to achieve, depends on their career path, because there are some career paths that if you stay in Jamaica you cannot grow in it because there's just not a market for it, if that makes sense, right? So if it's something like healthcare, there is probably growth. If it's business, there's probably growth. But if it's anything outside of that, it's probably going to be difficult, and it's probably going to take you a longer time to get to the position that you probably want, because it's just not in demand, or it's just not in the job market like that. So for example, you probably want a particular position, but let's just say in Jamaica there's only like 10 positions, like the entire Jamaica only 10 positions, because that's like a specialized field or whatever. So like they're not gonna hire a bunch of people, they just have 10 people who just always do it, or you have the same 5 people who just always do it. So if your goal is to study something or get to that position, it might take you a very long time because there's just not the job market for it. Versus if you say, oh, you go out, you go overseas, and you know they have a lot more job market is a lot more open to it, where you can say, oh, you just go to your masters and you get access to it. But you have some careers where you could get the masters and do everything, but because the position is not vacant, you're not going to get into a position like that. Versus if you go overseas and you know the job market is broader, you go to the same masters and then you get the position in your dreams, just like that. You know, you do a little experience and you get the position. Versus in a Jamaica, you wait 10-15 years just for the person come out of the position so you can get it. So as you can see, there's different sides to it as to whether it makes sense to study in Jamaica or not study in Jamaica. There's different sides to the coin, if that makes sense. Again, it's based on personal goals, what you want to achieve in your life. It depends on where you want to live, where you want to raise your family, if you plan to have a family. It depends on basically what you want to do with your life, what that particular career goal is, how far do you want to go in that particular career, and then you can sit down, assess, and say whether or not Jamaica can accommodate or provide the resources for you to do that. And that's basically how you can decide whether or not you doing your particular degree in Jamaica makes sense or not. That's basically how you can decide.